What's up, Buttercup? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a recommendation video, namely the top 10 most disturbing horror books that you need to read this year, next year. Actually, let's just go with this year because, like I said, you need to. I don't know what's going on, but if you haven't read these, get on it. Now, I am going to preface this by saying a lot of these books are really, really messed up. Horror, yeah. So there are going to be some times where I say you can handle the content warnings that you can look up on Goodreads or Amazon on the author's website, then give it a go. The first book that I'm going to mention, because it's top tier messed up. It's so messed up that after reading it, have now become desensitized to basically everything. Good or bad? I don't know. So the first recommendation is Dead Inside by Chandler Morrison. It is a satirical splatterpunk extreme horror novel, okay? And I don't remember who recommended this book to me, but it was quite some time ago on a Discord reading server. I think it's because I asked about what's the most fucked up books that people recommend, and so I was open to the most fucked up books. So I already knew going in it was like, this is gonna be interesting. And so I picked it up. Luckily I did, because for quite some time after I bought the paperback was not available on Amazon because they pulled it because it's messed up. But then they kept the ebook. Okay, Amazon's weird like that. But yes, I read it and wow. But that also means that I was introduced to Chandler Morrison, which is one of my favorite horror authors of all time. And I've read all of his books as of now. Right now, I've read all of them. And I really, weirdly, to a certain extent, enjoyed Dead Inside. I couldn't give it a full 5 stars because of how messed up it is, and that felt uncomfy for me. But there are plenty and plenty of reviews that list every single content warning on Goodreads. I suggest you look that up before going in because I don't want to have people in the comment section saying that I messed them up. Look it up before you buy the book, okay? Okay. Number 2, we have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. I gave that 4 stars. Patrick gifted that book to me last year, and it's a domestic horror novel. Shirley Jackson's amazing at writing domestic horror novels. It's centered on family and house and, things like that. And, oh yeah, that messed me up. It did. I was just like, why is this happening? Why? Yeah, there was a lot of, oh my gosh, how is this continuing on? It does follow 3 family members, and Mary Cat is the main character, and they are ostracized by the rest of the town because supposedly Mary Cat's sister poisoned everyone except them. And it's kind of hard to come back to that, even though she was found not guilty. Well, one of the 3 did in fact poison their whole family. You kind of figure out who that is gradually, though I sensed it within the first couple of chapters, because what Shirley Jackson does is she writes very well, but sometimes not well. That's why I couldn't give it 5 stars. Someone that's unstable, and Mary Cat's very unstable, and that can be a little difficult to read through because you can have a whole page without any periods because you're in the mind of someone extremely unstable. And I've seen that happen, that type of writing style, or there's another word for it, writing technique, where if you have someone unstable, you use a lot of commas and semicolons, but you don't use periods, and it's like running on sentences in your mind, and sometimes they connect, but a lot of the times they're like mumble jumble what's going on here until maybe you get to the end of the paragraph that's really, really long, and then you're like, okay, then I think I understand what happened, but I might need to reread it because they're just not there. So I was very surprised, but also pleasantly surprised about liking it so much. It was my first book by Shirley Jackson, and I want to read more of her. Number 3 is Rosemary's Baby by Ira Levin. This is 5 stars, perfect. This is, I think, also sometimes called a suspense or a thriller, but it's a kind of like a domestic horror with the devil and witches and things like that. But I think a lot of people know about Rosemary's Baby at this point because it was published in the 60s, or maybe like 1970. 60s and 70s, it's been quite some time, but I read this last year for Halloween. Perfection. I was just so connected with Rosemary. I was living through her. I was just going through the motions, and oh my god, what happened? And it's so well written, and it's not long. I like when horror books are not long, and I'm talking like 400 plus pages. You're gonna lose me. But this is like 250. The suspense is there because we are going through Rosemary's life as she is seeing it. She becomes pregnant, and then things just get really weird because we're seeing it through her eyes. We could guess. I mean, I think a lot of people kind of know what happened, so they know going into it. Like, I kind of knew what happened. I didn't know how it got there, but I knew that, you know, the devil's baby, it's gonna happen. But how it happens is superb. Number 4, The Exorcist by William Peter Blatty. Now, that's another 5 out of 5 stars, perfection. I read again last year for Halloween. This creeped me out. It was really creepy, and I did not finish the movie. I could not finish the movie. It was triggering for me, not in like there's a demon possessing the child, but it was actually triggering for me that I couldn't deal with the scenes with the child being tested for mental, physical, neurological, so on and so forth, issues and disabilities, because that's what, around her age-ish, maybe a little younger, that's what I was going through. So I wasn't even triggered by the demon stuff. I was triggered by something completely different, but I know myself well, and I know that I can handle things in book form way better than film, because I know, like, the actors and actresses, like, they know it's fake, but like, do their bodies know that it's fake? No, because we have some issues, you know, with understanding certain things, if it's real or not real. And acting, I mean, it's not a new concept. There have been actors for thousands of years, but The Exorcist movie, very graphic, very violent, very upsetting and uncomfortable. And I know the young actress was messed up for a long time afterwards. And luckily, you know, she got the help that she needed, but that's just really hard for me to accept. But, you know, in book form, no one's getting hurt. I could put the book down, especially with the crucifix scene. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, well, maybe you should look that up, because that is very much of a content warning here. Okay. Yeah, I was like, I'm just gonna put this down for 5 minutes. And then I picked it back up. I'm like, okay, I'm ready, mentally ready. And what I like about this book is that it's, in a sense, believable, because the writer was very Catholic, but per the Catholic Church, for quite some time during this period, I think it was in the 70s this book was released. But before then, the Catholic Church officially, now saying unofficially, that's a different matter, but officially, they did not do exorcisms because turns out, like the exorcisms that happened, it was mental illness or a neurological disorder. So William goes through the story with all of his characters, all the characters, thinking, okay, we need to get through everything except the thought that this young child is possessed, because demons possessing children, like what? Yeah, so we go through a big portion of the book trying to figure out with the characters, and we're like really hoping and praying here that is not actually a demon possessing her. And then we get to the point where, okay, everything has been debunked. Like it's not a neurological issue, it's not mental illness, it's none of that. Okay, so we now have to sit down and we have to have a conversation. Okay, this is real. We've done everything we possibly can. It's a demon, and we have to come to terms with that. And I think that is way better storytelling and like way more realistic than you see like these other books or film where they're like 30 minutes in a 2-hour or more movie. Yep, it's a demon. Okay, let's go. And then it's just extending and prolonging The Exorcist, and it's like, no, I'm not into that. I'm wanting to see you, doctor, parent, priests, multiple priests, just going through everything that you possibly can to debunk the fact that we might have to do an exorcism on this child because there's a demon possession involved. And yeah, we got this in The Exorcist. So I appreciate William Peter Blatty going down that road, but this is very in-depth of all of the things that could be explainable, but then at a certain point it's like, no, this is a spiritual fight against good versus evil. And though evil does not win, high cost, a very, very high cost. And that's why it's creepy, that's why it's upsetting and uncomfortable, but I see what he's doing. I'm not Catholic, I'm actually an atheist. But I appreciate The Exorcist, I really do. Number 5, Mayfly by C.J. Lead. Okay, this is a 5 out of 5 star. This is her debut novel. It is basically like the female version of American Psycho, but controversial, I'm gonna say it. I think CJ did it better with Maeve. And I tried so hard to enjoy the book version of American Psycho. The writing was crap. I actually like the movie. The movie's great. Love Christian Bale as Patrick Bateman. But yeah, the book, no. But Mayfly is great. I love a serial killer that's female, and there is a little bit of a love story, and I appreciate that. I read it once again for last year's Halloween, and I did a video on it. Oh, I did a video on The Exorcist and Rosemary's Baby, and we have Always Lived in the Castle. Sorry, I should have mentioned that. I'll continue to mention if I did or did not do a video on my channel about it. Sorry. I didn't do one for Dead Inside because I'd rather keep my channel. I've had this channel for almost 7 years. I kind of don't want to ruin it. So I skipped that for Dead Inside. Number 6, Along the Path of Torment by Chandler Morrison. That is the second most fucked up book I've read from Chandler Morrison, and this follows a young man named Ty who is very, very sick, mentally and physically. He's living in LA and he's trying to figure things out because he's had a very, very messed up childhood, and he has not recovered. And at a certain point when I was reading his flashbacks, I'm like, oh yeah, I get it. I see why you're fucked up. Yeah. I mean, what you're doing to other people is not okay, but holy shit. Like, and it's not even unrealistic that this would happen to a child or a preteen or teenager or an adult. So that's why it's so upsetting and messed up. I would look into content warnings for Along the Path of Torment as well, especially abuse against a child, actually multiple children. But if you can handle that, I do recommend it, of course, because it's part of this video. Moving on to number 7. It's actually a short story, but it messed me up, and I'm still thinking about it. The Box by Jack Ketchum. What's in the damn box? I want to know. But, like, that's the whole point. Like, you don't get to know. But this family finds, like, just a box on a bus, and one of the children, a boy, opens the box, and then he stops eating. I'm like, what? Okay. And so then that spreads to the whole family except the dad, and the dad is watching his family starve to death, but like they're really happy about it. I'm like, what? The one thing off is that it would take months and months and months for them to starve to death, but it took a short amount of time for them to starve to death. However, I'm going to say you could argue, and I've seen people argue, that the box has like magical properties, like evil magical properties. Therefore, that's why they starved faster than what a normal human body would go through. It's, was it like 2 or 3 months? 1 month? It's pretty short, but that's like my only gripe. It's a short story. I think it's maybe, 20, it's less than 30 pages. How about that? At least the copy that I got. But I recommend The Box. I didn't even read it for Halloween, but I'm like, oh my god, I'm intrigued because Patrick from the Messed Up Book Club brought it up, and I'm like, oh really? Yeah, I'm still thinking about it. Number 8, The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. Now, this is the first book that I read of Stephen Graham Jones, and he's actually one of my other favorite horror novelists. I did give it 4 out of 5 stars because the writing style is very odd, and then there's like weird tense switches, and also I'm not into basketball, so however, the final girl trope is just mixed up. I appreciate that because after a certain point the final girl trope gets annoying because it's the same crap over and over again, but Stephen Graham Jones wanted a different type of final girl. Also, content warning for lots and lots of animal murders that are also very gruesome. Oh, and the whole fact that like a bunch of people get killed. Hello, murder is kind of sort of needed in a horror novel, right? But I just still think fondly, that might be weird to say, fondly of Elkhead Woman, which is the antagonist. Like, we can debate if that's an antagonist or not. This has a lot of indigenous folklore and history and culture that you might or might not miss, or maybe get confused of. Like, I know a lot of people are like, so why is it a big deal that this group of friends went on reservation land and hunted during this time period? So then why would there be an Elkhead woman seeking out revenge? And then therefore they gave it a low rating. Okay, that's where people would be lacking in cultural knowledge, right? But I have many non-blood related family members and family friends that are indigenous, so I got what was going on in The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. It was not anything, I would say, like, new to me. I understood about the huge offense of this group of friends hunting on this land at this certain time and not speaking to the elders about this, and killing this elk that was pregnant, and so on and so forth. So that is a indigenous horror story. I know that people would be confused about that, but if you want to read this novel, then I suggest looking into maybe other reviews that go into it, or, actually better off if you watch at least one interview about this book with Stephen Graham Jones, and then he explains most of the time. I watched 3 interviews about this book afterwards, and it was really good. But you might want to do that if you have like no idea what you're getting yourself into, or you don't have much clue or very little knowledge of Indigenous culture and how this would be a horror story. Number 9, it's a short story again. Guts by Chuck Palahniuk. I might have pronounced his last name wrong, so sorry. This was like I said, short story. It's 4 out of 5 stars. I listened to it because I was newly brought in to Patrick's book club, and they were like, oh, you read Dead Inside, okay. Well, this is messed up. I'm like, give it to me. So they said, read Guts by Chuck. And I was like, okay, well, can't really find the short story anywhere. Oh, wait, it's on YouTube in audio format. So I listened to it. I think it's like 35 minutes or something like that. And like, it's disgusting. It is. A lot of people were saying, and I think even including Chuck, said that this is based on a real story. I gave it 4 stars because it's not. It is an urban legend. It's not possible for this to happen. Which... it has something to do with your intestines getting sucked out some of your body parts somewhere. Okay. I mean, it says not safe for work in the title, but I'm also trying not to get reported. But if you read the short story, then you'll understand. I do recommend it because it's disgusting, and it's like, even though it's an urban legend and it's not possible, it's still creepy because, you're hanging out in a pool just trying to relax, and then like a really bad thing happens to you. Like, pools can be very dangerous. So, though it's based on an urban legend, even though people believe it, I still think it's really, really damn creepy. Also, the descriptions. Yeah. Nasty. Number 10 is The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James. Now, this is a ghost story. At first I was like, are we gonna go with the ghost story? Because a lot of people say ghost story nowadays and it's not actually a ghost story. Okay, but no, she delivered 5 out of 5 stars. It is a ghost story, and the ghosts help the main character solve a mystery, multiple murders, and just corruption. Things are happening in this particular area, and what the setup is that the main character's relative went missing, and the last time anyone saw her was at the Sundown Motel in like a seedy area, like that's kind of not really well populated. Yeah, that happens, right? Sketchy, basically. The main character's just like, okay, I gotta just figure this out. I'm lost. I just mourning. I don't know what to do with my life. I'm gonna figure it out. And then so she goes to the Sundown Motel to basically solve this murder mystery, maybe. Is it? Well, she gets help from ghosties, and her life's in danger, and a lot of other people's lives are in danger, and it's just juicy. And I appreciate when books are marketed as they are supposed to be marketed. Like, this is a ghost story, murder mystery type of thing. So it's sad that I had doubts that it would be that, because when you say ghost, a lot of the times it's not in horror. It's some other weird thing, or I don't even know anymore. But sometimes you just need a good ghost story to creep you out at night. And it was creepy, and like there were many times where I'm like, oh, this is gonna go so badly. And like, y'all know. So you're not playing dumb, but you're so stricken with grief and guilt and anger, they're like, I understand, but maybe don't. But oh my god, we're going in. Okay, here we go. I love that. I love that for Simone St. James. Thank you so much for watching my top 10 most disturbing books of all time and that you should read in 2024 or, you know, whenever. But I'm sure I can find more books in the near future to make a part 2 of this. So you need to catch up. You need to get into all these books, okay? And then we'll talk to you later about some other disturbing books that I have in mind for you. But for now, that's my top 10. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.